What's going on, guys? Winter Kills here, and welcome to a brand new test hand video. Today we're going to be doing test hands with my Earth Machine deck. This is a bit of an experimental build, but I wanted to get one of these out there just to sort of showcase Earth Machine post Dimension Force, getting arguably one of its best, non-in-archetype like pieces of support, and that of Therion King Regulus. It being an Earth Machine monster just works out so incredibly well. You can search it with River Stormer. You can search it with Clifford Genius if you summon back two things to the zone of points at the same time, which you can do in other combos and other builds. So yeah, this is, like I said, an experimental build. My brother and I have been working with this deck a lot. He actually took it to YCS Hartford, a different variant, and I'll talk about why I'm on this variant, the things that I like about it and don't like. And I'll talk about the other variants specifically too at points to try to point out why I don't like that build, why I won't play it going forward, and why I just think it just is not nearly as good as this particular variant. We're going to do all going first test hands. I just want to show you guys again, what the deck is kind of capable of, and my take on it, and we'll just run through some hands and some scenarios, right? Also, before we get into the test hand video, a reminder, check out Imperium Duelist if you're interested in these Demon Slayer sleeves. These are new from Imperium. They have the shiny inner part of the sleeve there, and this beautiful detail on the back. I've been using these on my extra deck on a couple different decks, actually, for Marincess, Sword Soul, and Earth Machine now, and I do really like them. It's kind of a nice change up from what I've been using. And these sleeves I'm using are the Pegasus Tournament Ready sleeves from Imperium Duelist as well. So definitely check them out at the link below if you guys want to support the channel by shopping on their site. Don't forget to use my discount code WinterKills10 off at checkout to save 10% off your entire order and support the channel in the process. Also, a quick reminder, if you guys are buying anything on TCG Player, please do not forget to use my affiliate link found in the description below anytime you guys shop and check out. Using that link, a small bit of the revenue from your purchase will go right back into the channel and will help out a ton. I'm also not doing a face cam in this video, as you guys have probably already noticed, because I'm on a bit of a time crunch right now, and I just don't have time to set it up, but it's not really necessary, right? So I'm just going to try to forego it for this particular video. But yeah, let's go ahead and cut the deck and hope we don't brick on our first hand on camera here. This is a 45 card list, I think. So yeah, let's see what we draw. We draw Bullet, Overdrive, Drill, not Drill. I almost said Derrick for some reason, but so we draw Bullet, Overdrive, Drill, Urgent Schedule, and Disc Coliseum. So right with this first hand here, one thing I want to briefly talk about is this card in this deck. I know a lot of people swear by Urgent Schedule, and don't get me wrong, I really like this card in theory too. The only thing I hate about this card is it does absolutely little to nothing on your turn and does little to nothing on your opponent's turn. Sure, you can set up a Clifford Genius search, which is kind of cute, but outside of that, you're just summoning 2 tokens for your opponent to just ultimately deal with at the end of the day. I thought about this card possibly being Triple Tactics Talent, simply because it does something going first and second. There's a lot of extenders in this deck, and drawing into the mid combo is always pretty nice. But yeah, another thing too about the Disc Coliseum, I realize this kind of conflicts in some hands with the Metal Cruncher, but you can kind of play around that sort of contradiction in Engine. So with this hand here, I'll probably start with the Disc Coliseum. And for those that don't know what this card does when it's activated, we can go ahead and add a Therion monster from our deck to our hand. I'm also playing 2 Disc Coliseum and a Terraforming, so we have plenty of copies of Regulus in the deck without actually having to draw Regulus. Terraforming is kind of like a Swiss Army knife in this build because it can grab Disc Coliseum, it can grab Revolving Switchyard, or if we really need to go that route, we can grab a copy of Mystic Mine to put our opponent on "Do you have the out?" kind of thing. So we're going to go ahead and add the Therion King Regulus here. Now this hand is very, very awkward. We don't really have a direct way to Engine, but we do sort of have a way to play here. I'd probably start by normal summoning the Infinitrack Anchor Drill, and then we can go ahead and use the Anchor Drill here. We could use Anchor Drill technically to go ahead and special summon the Regulus, but it does summon it out in defense position, making this card a little bit more vulnerable than it kind of needs to be. But we will use the Bullet or the Drill. I mean, honestly, we don't even really have to use Drill's effect at all because it's Well, maybe it does. Maybe it playing into a hand trap is smart, because if they burn a Veil or Imperm on this, then it's just free. But regardless, we'll summon out the Bullet Train from hand, and then from here we can go ahead and link one into a Goliath, and then from here we can go ahead and activate Regulus, targeting the drill, and we can go ahead and equip that, and then we can go ahead and link these two off. This would stay, and link these two off, not into Clifford Genius, but into a copy of Ancient Gear Ballista. Oh yeah, we'll activate the effect there. We'll go ahead and search box, and we're gonna go ahead and search, well, technically here, maybe there is a line where we search out Trencher. Maybe there's a line where we search out Trencher here, and we don't necessarily equip those two. So let's say we just link with, this is still in hand, right? We just normal drill, link it into Goliath, and then link the Goliath and the bullet into this. This will search. I guess the only benefit there is, like, we'd want to have Regulus on field to be able to stop that. The only thing I'm trying to think about is, like, if we have Regulus on field and we don't have it equipped with something, what we could actually do is, like, if we could equip it with, like, a Goliath, we could actually go Trencher Tribute, and then since we didn't use drill effect, like, we can go ahead and drill, bring back box, and then make a rank 8. I'm trying to think about how I'd actually want to go about doing that, though. Like, what's the most optimal way? Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not really seeing a way to do it without going for this first. So let's say we go for this. Let's say, you know, hope they don't have a hand trap on the Ballista, because, I mean, turns out always hand trapping this card is pretty nice. But even if they do hand trap this, we have Urgent Schedule plus Overdrive plus Regulus. So we definitely have a couple interruptions on their turn, plus we're getting a card back in the end phase. And we have the protection of Disc Coliseum too. So it's not the end of the world if this does get hit, but it's not that great either. So we'll activate Regulus. Regulus will target Goliath here. And then this is Engrave. And then from here, we'll go ahead and activate Trencher in hand. Tribute that off to go for a link 1 of Goliath, the second copy. And then we can activate Trencher Engrave here to go ahead and revive out the drill. And since we have not used drill, we can activate Drill's effect to go ahead and summon a machine from the hand. We'll summon out the box. And then from here, you could use drill effect to go ahead and target itself. Or drill target box, or you could drill target Regulus. But that really doesn't make too much sense. But either way, I'd probably just go ahead and make these level 8, and then you could go for either Dingirsu to reattach your Trencher to get that back into the loop, or if you're playing it, like I said, my extra deck right now isn't fully fleshed out. There's one flex spot. It's probably going to be Photon Lord as I'm recording this, but you could also slap a Photon Lord on top of this to have a Omni Negate, a Monster Negate, and then a way to trigger your Overdrive and, you know, your Citadel on the next turn to get that out onto the play. But this is not terrible either. Through no engine, right? We just have Regulus, Ding, or again Photon Lord with Urgent Schedule and Overdrive access, which again is getting us to Citadel, which is another interruption for our opponent. And then Bullet, I guess end phase can just add back Ballista, just because we want that back in our extra deck for plays later on. So yeah, that was a bit of a weird hand, but you know, no engine really. And when I say no engine, I mean like no starter. We didn't see one of our 12 starters, and yes, I know I am playing a little bit over 40, but it was the only way I could really fit in all the engine and extenders I wanted to make the deck feel like less fragile, while also playing a good suite of, you know, really solid going second cards. And this deck is a very slow-paced deck sometimes, so I wanted to put in some main deck Floodgates as well. And what better Floodgate to go ahead and main deck this format right now than that of the Dimensional Barrier. I was looking at Gozen Match and Rivalry, but you know, sometimes those cards are very hit or miss against certain matchups. Sometimes you'll see Gozen and you wish you had Rivalry. Sometimes you have Rivalry and wish you had Gozen. And most of those matchups where those cards are okay, D-Barrier is just better, I've found. Like against Despia, Sword Soul. I mean, literally just those two decks. Those are like the biggest offenders this format, is just those two decks in particular. ABC Therion, you know, Punk decks, Synchro decks, like just calling Synchro sometimes against those decks is just enough. Even against like the ABC like punk deck, like if you go Gozen Match, like a lot of the monsters end up being light. It's not terrible, but I don't think main decking D Barrier is terrible either in a format where Swordsel and Despia are as popular as they are. Or any deck that just requires like synchros. Like if you just debury your Punk Therion deck and you just call synchro, they can't make Chaos Ruler, so they lose a ton of steam, which is insane. Or even against pile decks too, like just hitting anything, any given thing like synchro is just ouch. Like they do a lot of synchroing. Sure, they can maybe make Hulk, but like if they can't synchro, like what are they really doing with their end board? And then you just OTK them next turn, which this deck can do on a dime. So yeah. Our next hand here is Trencher Railroad Stampede, which I am also playing, the Therion King Regulus, Metal Cruncher, and Heavy Forward. So this hand is really, really solid. And also, for the Tunneler draws, I wanted to put in, like, cards, like, if I draw it, it's going to be high impact. Like, Droplet, high impact card, D-Barrier, high impact card, etc., etc. So with this hand here, we're going to go ahead and start with the normal summon of Machina Metal Cruncher here. And with this hand, I'm going to go ahead and reveal 2 copies of Fortress and a copy of, yeah, we'll do 2 Forts and a Harvester. And I believe I do have a dice here. Go for a little rank 9 combo with this hand. And, you know, if they hit anything with a Metal Cruncher, right, we just have Heavy Forward to back up our play. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We rolled a 6, so we get this to our hand. It is a Harvester. Alright, so that's fine. That's not the expected outcome I was hoping for, but this works. So then we will activate Heavy Forward. To be honest, this should have been Dozer, if I'm being totally honest. But I don't think it makes too big of a difference, so we'll just go ahead and add the Dozer. And then we'll go ahead and activate Dozer Effect, attributing the Metal Cruncher. And then we already opened a Trencher, but we do play 2 Trencher in this build because I think it just makes sense to play 2. Because you do usually need the second one for the grind. If I can pull out my other copy, I suppose you could summon like a Drill and then Trencher that off. I guess that's a route you could take technically. So let's see here. Yeah, we'll summon out the Drill because there were only a couple summons in. And we have Regulus live like pretty much instantly. So we'll summon this here. And then we could activate Regulus targeting the Cruncher. Put that there, and then effect of Trencher to tribute, and then effect here to go ahead and overlay into none other than a River Storm. River Stormer effect attached to go search a Earth Machine. I'm going to go ahead and grab a copy of Bullet Train, since there's really no reason to go ahead and grab something like what's it called here, the Fortress. We don't really need that card at the moment. We do also have a nice setup with the Drill and Trencher engraved too, because we have Railroad Stampede, so there is some cool things we can do here. We could also Trencher for Drill to summon Harvester. That opens up rank 6 lines. Like, there's so many lines you can take in this deck, but like figuring out which ones are the best in most hands is not that easy. It's often the most difficult part about the deck. So then we'll go here, we'll link these into our Ballista, and having the Omni Negate on field is just so important. Like, it's so huge. Box right on the bottom. Box effect, we'll go ahead and search the Tunneler. And right here, we're looking pretty good so far. So we can go and activate the Tunneler in hand, tributing off the Ballista. We'll go ahead and link it into another Goliath, and then we can activate River Stormer's effect here to go ahead and send the Goliath and summon it back, and we still have another Goliath in the extra deck, so we're going to go ahead and link into that now. Third and final Goliath feels so good to play again. And now we're going to Trencher here, and since we have a really high value Trencher target, this is going to work out really well. We're going to summon out Drill. We can activate Drill effect to go ahead and summon Stampede, and then we'll activate Stampede effect to go ahead and summon back the Bullet here. Its effects are negated, but we don't really care. We'll activate this to target this. They both become level 10. I just want to double check that's what it says. Determine when face a monster control the level of that monster, or this card becomes the level of the other. So yeah, we can go ahead and make a rank 10 here, which is just like super insane. Anytime you like, that's the one thing me and my brother have talked about with this deck. Like, ending on Dora is just an absolute game changer most of the time. Like, I feel like, and like we both share the sentiment that if you're not able to end on Regulus, and you're not able to end on at least a Dora, you're probably losing the game in the current meta. Because like you cannot just put up Knuckle Pass with this deck and expect it to be competitive unless you drew a ton of hand traps. That's just the reality of it, and I think that is just a smart way of looking at it. So we're gonna go ahead and link into the double-headed Anger Knuckle here, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4 extra deck monsters in grave. We haven't Tunneler yet, so we can go ahead and Tunneler and do that now. So we'll put back the Ballista, obviously, and the Goliath. And we'll put back the Drill into the deck just because Drill is kind of an MVP sometimes. And then we're going to go ahead and draw 1 because we put back the 3 Goliath, the Ballista, and the Drill. So that's a total of 5. So now we can go ahead and draw 2. All while having an Omni Negate on field and a monster that is basically a quick effect towers. With the opportunity to... We don't have Daracrane underneath it, which is not as good, but it's just going to make it that much harder for them to get over our board. I mean, if we draw Daracrane here, we could make another rank 10, but I think that's a little unnecessary. Of course, we would draw 2 heavy forward. Yeah, that's like the one unfortunate side about this deck too sometimes, is like you get your draw 2, but you just end up drawing things like this, which are cards you literally cannot use during that turn. But it is what it is. It's just follow-up, right? And then we can go to end phase. End phase, we can activate Bullet here, or activate number 81 targeting itself. And then we can go end phase Bullet effect to add back the Dozer to our hand. So we end with 5 cards in hand, a Omni Negate here, and a monster that they're probably not going to be able to deal with during their turn. And then during their turn, we can activate the Knuckle effect to go ahead and summon back the Bullet. If they kill this, right, same old classic Earth Machine plays. We can add back the box in the end phase, assuming we get to our end phase, right, and they didn't open up that insane. You know, we can go ahead and add back the Drill, and then we have a Ding play ready for next turn, just like that. But yeah, another pretty standard test hand there, ending at Regulus number 81. That's a win in my book, honestly. But yeah, before I actually get into the next test hand, I want to take a moment to briefly talk about why I don't like the Gear Frame build. I was kind of sold on it for a little while, but then we took it to the YCS and tested it further afterwards and just found out that it's just so incredibly bad. You know, this is just my personal take, me and my brother's personal take on that version, but that version just feels like if you don't draw your redeployment, you aren't doing much. If you do see redeployment, you hope it doesn't get ashed because it's super fragile. The deck has way more bricks in it, like Clasp Bear, which sucks if you draw, and Rune Force, which also is just terrible if you draw. And not to mention, some of these cards conflict within decks like best cards, like, you know, Dozer. And it just feels like if you're resolving redeployment and you don't get interrupted, sure, you're probably winning, but that's a big if, right? So that was just like the major problem we found with the deck, is that it's just so incredibly inconsistent. And like my brother was just losing matches left and right because he just could not play. Like usually just draw 5, okay, pass, I don't have it like a starter. Yeah, it just feels like a very jank build to play. Like you do all of this stuff with Gear Gigant to like get you to Harvester to try to like, you know, bring it back with Trencher and stuff, but like at the end of the day, you could just skip all of that nonsense, cut bricks, and just normal Harvester. Literally just Earth Machine, but, you know, add in some new cards like Revolving Switchyard, Disc Coliseum, and Regulus, and no need to try to reinvent the wheel. But that was our biggest like gripe with that variant of the deck, and honestly, I just don't like it. I think Metal Cruncher is just a far superior card, especially having the opportunity to grab something like Regulus now. I'd almost call you crazy for not playing Metal Cruncher. But yeah, we'll draw into our next hand here. We have Terraforming. Yeah, so this is just like combo here in a nutshell. Really solid hand here. We have 2 ways to play. If they stop the Harvester, we can punish them with the heavy forward. If we're going second, we have Mystic Mine Urgent Schedule. Like this hand can go first or second, and we are definitely in there by every sense of the imagination. So we're going to go ahead and start by activating Terraforming. If we're going second, that could honestly just force a negate, or they just wait for us to see what we search, but we're grabbing Mystic Mine if we're going second, and you know, if that's what the board calls for. So we're going to go ahead and add Disc Coliseum here. We'll activate Disc Coliseum effect. We're going to go ahead and search out a beautiful Starlight Rare Therion King Regulus. And from here, what the next play is, it's a good call. So what we can do now is Normal summon Harvester. If this eats a hand trap, that's totally fine. Let's say it does. We'll activate Heavy Forward and be like, lol. Get absolutely dunked on. We're going to go ahead and take a copy of the Brutal Dozer. Now, if we really want to be extra saucy, and we want to make sure our Dozer resolves, we can go ahead and actually just link this into a copy of Goliath, Regulus effect, targeting the Harvester, and then we can go Dozer effect, tribute off the Goliath, and, you know, we have a protected Dozer play. Pretty pog champ, if you ask me, right? So we're going to go and summon out the Infinitrack Trencher, the one who digs the trenches. And from here, since we already searched our Regulus off Disc Coliseum, our Riverstormer search just becomes, you know, free. We get a free card off this that we can use for whatever, and I'm probably just going to go ahead and grab a copy of Bullet Train here. Or you could dump Citadel, really depends. But I want to try to at least get to a level 10, because there are a lot of cards we can draw in the deck right now. I mean, by a lot, I mean, like, you know, we can draw Derek Crane itself. We can draw one of our 2 copies of Revolving Switchyard. I would say we could draw Terraforming, but we already opened the Terraforming. But we do have a few ways to get to another 10 on field. So, yeah. From here, we're going to go ahead and link this into another Goliath. We'll activate Bullet Effect to go ahead and summit. Summit. I'm getting these cards mixed up. Like Sword Soul Sacred Summit. And then we're going to activate Ballista, which again is protected. Feels so good. We're going to add the box effect to go ahead and add the Tunneler. So yeah, obviously the one Therion Regulus doesn't like make a super insane board, right? But just the simple fact that now our opponent needs 2 hand traps to interrupt us completely is just a game changer. So now we're going to activate Tunneler. And we did go through 1 Goliath early, but we do play 3 here, which again, I feel like is absolutely correct in this variant. I know some builds in the past were playing 2, but it just comes up so much as you're seeing here. Then we're going to activate Trencher Effect Engrave. We'll go ahead and revive the Dozer. So if they want to Crow, you know, if they want to use Crow on the Trencher target, we don't want to like let them, you know, try to Crow the Tunneler, because not only do we lose our summon off Trencher, but we also lose our draw too, which is kind of not good. So here, there's a couple things we could do. If we really want to be kind of saucy with it, we could link into the Qliphort Genius here. And the reason I would probably maybe consider linking to Qliphort Genius here is because we have Urgent Schedule. And having Urgent Schedule allows us to any point during our opponent's turn, you know, because this is a when effect to search. Let's say they normal something, you know, search on resolution, activate. Well, we couldn't do that because we have too many monsters on our field, but at some point, when Urgent Schedule can be activated, we can activate it on resolution of something so the Genius doesn't miss timing, summon 2 cards, and then effect when those cards are summoned to go ahead and search a level 5 or higher Earth Machine. At least I don't think that would miss timing. But for this particular hand, anyways, I am still going to go for the Anger Knuckle here because having this card is just really strong, especially with Overdrive. And then from here, we could go ahead and do a full shuffle back 5 if we really wanted to. Because we could go ahead and activate Knuckles effect, sending itself to bring back the bullet, and then we can put back all 5 extra deck monsters. But I don't really think I want to do that. So we're just going to Tunneler, put back this, 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 and this. The Dozer will go back into the deck because why not? I mean, we just hope we don't draw it. Hopefully we draw into any one of our higher impact cards. And Droplet's crazy too, because Droplet can be like a negate 3 with this deck, because we can just send off like the Heavy Forward, the Disc Coliseum, the Infinitrack Harvester. You know, we can send off so many things. So yeah, only wish we could use like Knuckles Graveyard Effect here by getting that into the grave to go ahead and activate its Graveyard Effect to send the schedule to search another 10. That would be really huge. So we shuffled. Let's go ahead and draw. We draw a Revolving Switchyard, and we go ahead and draw another Urgent Schedule. So yeah, we did kind of luck out here by drawing the Urgent Schedule. So we will go ahead and activate that over top of the Switchyard, or over top the Disc Coliseum, and then we'll activate the effect. We can go ahead and either discard Box here, or we can just discard an extra Urgent Schedule. We'll probably just discard that. And then we're going to go ahead and add a copy of Heavy Freight Train Derek Crane. And then from here, we can go ahead and activate the effect of Knuckle, discarding the Ancient Gear Box, targeting the bullet. We'll summon the bullet. On that summon, we'll activate Derek Crane. And then we can go ahead and obviously make a rank 10 play for the Dora. And just like that, we end yet again on the Regulus negate. We also have Schedule plus Overdrive. We do have number 81, this time with a Dora underneath of it. And end phase, we can detach to go ahead and activate Bullet Effect and end phase to add back the box, just to get this back in the loop. So next turn we have a free discard, which again, if we bring back the bullet and then pop it with Overdrive, we can end phase, add back the box to add Drill, which again gets us our play. Also, interesting thing too here is during the opponent's turn, we can bring back the bullet and then trigger Switchyard. And Switchyard can actually just go ahead and summon that Railroad Stampede. Again, this is one of the reasons why we play Railroad Stampede. So we can go ahead and summon this out, and then this can go ahead and bring out the box. So we can just kind of just wall up our field, and it's going to make it much harder for our opponent to try to go ahead and go through for an OTK. Especially since like they have to get through those monsters, and then they have to get through the monster summon off Urgent Schedule. So they're just going to need like a pop 1000 there to go ahead and get through the field to OTK. And then in the end phase, we get all of our resources back. We can even add back the Pegasus, which is great because then we can normal Pegasus. If we don't want to go for the box route, right? Normal Pegasus, target the bullet, bring that out, and then we can make a rank 10 and just like immediately threaten an OTK. Or if we need to, we can even just add back Regulus too. That's also an option. So yeah, that's it for that test hand. Nothing too crazy there. I think I'm mentioning everything I pretty much want to cover. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and shuffle up here and we'll do one more test hand. All right, did a quick pile shuffle. Let's go ahead and cut the deck and draw into our last test hand here. And let's see what we open. We open Redeployment, D-Barrier, Switchyard, Dozer, and Metal Cruncher. Yeah, I mean, honestly, if we go first here, we're probably winning this game regardless of how many hand traps they are. So we don't need to start Redeployment here, because that's probably just going to eat an Ash. But even if it does, like, is that really the end of the world? But I think with this, we're probably just going to go ahead and lead Metal Cruncher. I think that's just the safer play, is just to start Metal Cruncher. What are we going to reveal exactly? That is a good question. Yeah, so we could do triple Harvester. I think I'm going to do double Regulus. And this is one of the crazy things about this card is it can reveal Regulus. So we'll do double Regulus, and then what's going to be the most optimal card that we could potentially get off of this? Probably Daracrane, I think. Daracrane, I think, is the next best, solely because we can use it to chain block our Dozer if they're holding Ash for it. So yeah, then we're going to go ahead and shuffle these bad boys up. Not that it really makes too big of a difference, but we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll roll the dice. We roll a 2. And we do get a Therion King Regulus there. So we'll go ahead and activate Revolving Switchyard. Because I'm just trying to think, like, if we go Dozer and they negate the Dozer, what's our play there? We equip Metal Cruncher and then Redeployment away the D-Barrier, which is something I really don't want to do. Okay, so here I think I have a play that's probably the safest from hand traps. So I think what I'm going to do now is activate Redeployment, discarding the Regulus. Let's say that eats the Ash here, because let's be honest, like, Ash is like one of the most prominent cards this format, and your opponent's probably going to have it. So if we can play around it, I feel like we should play around it. So let's let that eat the Ash, because we can do something a little bit different later on here. So we're going to go ahead and go for the Trencher, and then we're going to go ahead and overlay these two into a copy of Riverstormer here, and then we're going to go ahead and activate the Riverstormer effect. And then we're going to go ahead and add any Earth Machine from our deck to our hand here. We could add Regulus, and I think that's probably what I'm going to add. So now we can go Regulus effect, equipping the Regulus, which means we'll have a negate on our turn and on their turn, which is really strong. If we don't use the negate this turn, we can send this off, and then our turn we still have a protected, play. So here we're going to link into a Goliath. We can activate Riverstormer effect Engrave. Send this off, no effective Goliath Engrave, summon this, and then we can activate Trencher to go ahead and summon back out Dozer, and then we can link these off into a Ballista, and then we're going to activate the Ballista effect to go ahead and search out a box and a Tunneler. Just grab the Tunneler first. So we still have the Revolving Switchyard up here, which is kind of nice. That's going to help us like be able to like keep playing here, giving us that discard outlet. and also needing to, or being able to keep the D barrier in hand too, which is important. It's like one of the things I really wanted to try to keep in this hand, because I feel like discarding it right now is just not a smart move. So what I'm going to do here is activate Tunneler, tripping off this, activate Switch Art, discarding the box. We're going to go search a level 10, and we're going to go ahead and grab the Bullet Express Train here. You could have grabbed Derek Crane first, I suppose, and then summon the Tunneler and then summon the Bullet, but I don't think it makes too big of a difference here. So then we're going to summon this. We'll link this into our last Goliath, and then link both of these into double-headed Anger Knuckle here. Just like that. And then we can go ahead and activate the Tunneler here. Engrave, putting back all of our links. And we can also put back the I was going to say Ancient Gearbox, but we could put back the Metal Cruncher. Leave everything else engraved. Sort the extra deck there. And then we're going to go ahead and shuffle and draw 2. Hopefully we don't draw Disc Coliseum, because we already have our Therion stuff all set up. Although, Disc Coliseum wouldn't be terrible, because we can activate it, and then if they destroy anything by battle, we can dump first and then add back. Well, we don't actually have any more Therion cards, because our Therion engine is basically exhausted at this point. It's just kind of the way that we opened. It's kind of weird. Wanted to play through hand traps too, show that we can at least eat a hand trap. I don't want to be doing Fairy Tale test hands where we're drawing completely insane, and then opening into doing our hands out with no interruptions, because that's just kind of not realistic. So go ahead and draw a D barrier and Metal Cruncher. Hilarious. So I guess we would just set 1 D barrier. No need to set 2, honestly. And we have follow-up end phase. We're adding back the box, and then during their turn we can go ahead and pitch, do the same old song and dance, right? Add back, and then effect of box to go ahead and add the drill. That is actually going to do it for this test hand video. Hope you guys enjoyed. I do apologize if the lighting was a little weird in this video, just kind of experimenting with something. And also, again, no face cam too, because I'm in a bit of a time crunch, and it was just faster to kind of skip that in the video setup. But yeah, there will probably be a deck profile at some point down the line. I don't know how long it's going to be for the deck profile. Yeah, let me know if you guys want to see one regardless. And thank you guys so much for watching. Appreciate all the support. And as always, WinterKill signing out. We'll see you guys in the next one. And last but not least, a huge shout out goes to our Divine Level channel members who are Tweeter0226, Pony Stark, Cadillacs84, Justin Lamb, and HCH Cyber. Thank you guys so much as always for extremely kind and generous support of the channel.